Hey everyone, I'm Soorya Ramesh.
And I'm John Ravi, and you're listening to Two
Brown
Brown Accents. Today on Two Brown Accents, we're going to be talking about iPhones versus Androids. Very hot topic.
Yes, indeed. John, which side are you on?
I'm on the iPhone side.
Oh, okay.
I'm guessing you are too. Granted,
100%
you
iPhone
only have
side.
iPhones.
Yes. This entire podcast is recorded on iPhones, just putting it out
shot an iPhone. Actually, multiple iPhones.
Yeah. Were you ever an Android fan?
Yes, actually. I switched to an iPhone in 2017.
Okay.
So I've been an iPhone user for a while now. How about you? How long have you been an iPhone user?
3 years, I think 2020 I switched in.
Yeah. And Android before that?
Yeah, I was an Apple hater till before.
Same. Yeah, I was one of the biggest Apple haters there was.
100%.
Like,
oh my god.
Like, why would you buy something so like expensive and so like simplistic? You can't do anything on there.
Exactly. Why would you buy something so expensive that can't do anything?
Yeah.
Right?
Like you're spending like $200 more for like, 128 gigabytes more for storage.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
Storage, right? You get more storage on Android. I feel like you get
so much more, and you get to extend it too, right? You can put like a micro SD card in there, and those are so cheap now. You can buy like a 1 terabyte SD card for like, I don't know, like $30 or something.
Sure. I don't know about the price, but sure.
I mean, it's been a while because I can't put micro SD card in an iPhone, so I wouldn't know.
No, yeah, 100%. Like when I was a kid, I always used to think, why would you buy when all the hardware specs are better on an Android phone? The price is more expensive on an iPhone. Why would you, like, it just makes sense. Benchmark wise, it just makes sense that an Android phone is better. Why would you buy an iPhone?
But it's not about just hardware, right? That's the thing.
Exactly.
Like, that's the reason I switched was because of the software, actually. I had the Samsung Galaxy Note 5, I think.
I had the 9.
Not the 7, because the 7 was the one that exploded.
Yeah.
So I didn't have that one. But yeah, the 5. And it has the S Pen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can like take the stylus. It's like built into the phone. You can like take it out, and you can like write notes on there. I would write like math equations on my phone, and like when I explain something to someone, I was like, I don't need pen and paper. I just like pull my phone out. It's so useful.
I had the Note 9, and whenever somebody used to share their number, like I just had to make a quick, OTP or something like that. I just like take my pen out and just write it on my phone. Easy peasy. It's done.
But the downside with Samsung phones was that the updates like are terrible. As in like, so Google is the one that releases Android. They own Android. They release new Android updates. Then Samsung comes along, and then like once a new Android update comes out, they'll take it and they add their own stuff to it. And within like 6 to 12 months, they release it out to their phones, but only the flagship phones. Right. And not their like like if they released it 2 years ago, you probably won't get the update.
Yeah, and firstly, I've always wanted updates as soon as they're out, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just watching YouTube videos on, what are these new features? I want it on my phone. But it takes 6 to 8 months because Samsung has its own OS, Android has its own OS, and it's not just a Samsung thing too, right? Like any other Android, like whoever develops phones for Android, like everyone goes through the same. They have their own OS, and then Android is on top of that.
Yeah.
Except for the Pixel phones.
And then like iPhones are like, on day one, it releases. Everyone in the world that have iPhones, they get the same update.
Every phone for the past 5-6 years. That is so cool.
Yeah,
that's just it's wonderful. The fact that they support, like they have lesser phones, but they support everything, and I think that really means something.
Yeah. And then, like, I mean, you can make the argument like Google Pixels. They're like the Google's phone that they'll get the updates on day one. But the issue with that, for me anyway, was that the hardware wasn't as nice, right? They have less RAM. They had like a worse camera.
I think hardware wise, I think Apple's just better somehow, right? Like, yeah, I mean, Pixel's working, but Pixel's good, but I think like Pixel versus iPhone, I feel like iPhone is
more expensive.
Sure.
So there's that like cost aspect of it.
And even software updates, I wonder if all Pixels got supported, right? Because I feel a lot of Pixels in the middle, like 2-3 years, software updates, they got dropped. Recently,
I guess so.
Recently, Google made a promise that they're going to support software updates for 7-8 years. But then it's, I was watching these other videos, and Google's made promises before. Maybe not. We'd like to believe they will, but
yeah. I mean, you can also, an Android user would be like, okay, you switch to an iPhone. That's basically a Pixel, right? Because like I also get software updates on the Pixel, and the hardware is good enough too. Like, why won't you switch back to a Pixel? Actually, if I were to switch to an Android device, I probably would get a Pixel.
Yeah.
But what keeps me in the Apple ecosystem is blue bubbles.
The blue bubbles. I do love the blue bubbles.
What's blue bubbles, actually?
Um,
For
I,
people who don't know, on the Android side, let's explain what blue bubbles are.
iPhones to iPhones, Apple has its own messaging service, iMessage, and when you send an SMS, it just goes through as an iMessage instead.
But then when you message an Android user with text
Which
message,
goes through as an SMS, it goes
It'll-
through as
it'll-
a green bubble.
yeah, it'll come up as a green bubble. And like psychologically, when I see a green bubble, I just like get grossed out.
Judge
like
people.
I
You get
yeah,
grossed out, huh?
I mean, there is like some grossed out as in like this it's lower quality, and that's actually true because when you send like an image or a video through SMS through text, it'll be highly compressed, and the quality will look terrible, right? Versus when you would send it over iMessage, it doesn't get compressed and it looks really good.
Right.
Not to talk about like all the security benefits of using iMessage. It's end-to-end encrypted. Goes over Wi-Fi, so anytime you have Wi-Fi, you don't need signal to like send like a text message. So,
and I mean, there's also other features in iMessage, obviously, because it works through the internet. But whenever I'm driving over to pick you up, I share my location.
Yeah,
you can do everything from iMessages.
From iMessage, you don't need to go to like Google Maps or like some other app to do that.
Yeah, exactly. You can do everything. Like you can pay people through iMessages.
Yeah,
I paid somebody today.
And if you have a MacBook, it's like you can message from your computer.
Oh, that is a game changer. I'm not the best at texting from my iPhone. I like bigger screens. I like the physical keyboard. And whenever I'm texting people, I would prefer to always do it from my keyboard if I could. And the fact that iMessage is supported on my Mac just makes life so much easier versus having to text people from my phone. I know this is like a very, very me use case, but then it's a big thing. You can receive phone calls from your Mac. You can do all these other things, which is just like you can copy on your phone and paste on your Mac. Do you know how big a deal that is? It seems so simple, but the fact that it's possible is it's the best thing ever. That's my favorite feature in all of Apple. Yeah,
it's very useful. You can also use your iPhone as a webcam for your MacBook.
Oh, we're doing that right now.
We're doing it right now.
All these podcasts are recorded completely on iPhones, guys.
Yeah.
I feel this is becoming a marketing video at this point.
No, but there are things I don't like about iPhones, right? Like one thing is that if you want to use it as like a USB drive, you can't. With an Android phone, you just like plug it up to your computer. You can click and drag files to your phone,
right?
And you just like use it like music. You can see it come up on your phone if you just click and drag like an MP3 file onto there. Even photos. But on an iPhone, you need like iTunes to sync it with one computer, and you can't sync it across multiple computers because it'll forget one.
That's true. It's been a while, but I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like you basically don't ever plug it into your computer as like a USB device.
There's a lot of restrictions on the iPhone. I agree. Yeah.
They really pushed you into using iCloud, the subscription service, and you have to pay for that. So like, there's like a lot of downsides with it. And of course, we talked about the micro SD card. If you have a micro SD card, you can't just like increase the storage for an iPhone.
I know. I guess Apple's reasoning is hardware inside. Like if you have the storage in the iPhone when it's made, it's faster, works better, blah blah blah. Whereas the micro SD, it's like an added layer, which means it's slower.
Well,
that kind of stuff.
That's the marketing talk, but we never know what the reasoning is.
But yeah, that kind of stuff. But it is what it is. If I had to choose, I guess I still go for the iPhone. It's a little more expensive, but yeah.
Yeah, and I make the same choice too.
I don't know if we discussed this, but one of the reasons I really wanted to stop using Androids was because there's so many glitches. The fact that it just, it crashes so many times. Once one of my friends gave me a phone and she was like, can you do that? And I tried clicking an app twice and it didn't open, and I was like, I can't do this. Take it back. Do it by yourself.
Yeah, it just feels, the iPhones feel more responsive, right? Like just like scrolling on there, everything just feels way more responsive. And it never, well, I wouldn't say never, but usually doesn't crash. This is actually consistent across most Apple devices, I feel like. Like, for example, the MacBook, it's much more reliable than a Windows computer. Right? Like, you usually don't get like a blue screen of death on a MacBook. That doesn't even exist on there.
Agreed. And like even viruses, I think Macs don't really get viruses. I don't know. I haven't, but
that's more of a like a cost barrier, I feel like, because it's just much cheaper to buy a Windows computer, and like usually you can like develop a virus for that much easier.
Oh, sure.
Whereas like I mean Macs technically can still also get viruses too, but it's just like a cost thing, I feel like.
Sure. But yeah, there's the fact that it just works, right? It's simpler, it works. Honestly, that's all I want. When I was a kid, sure, I had a lot more time on my hands, and I was like, oh, I want to customize it. I want the apps to go in a circle, or I want them to go swirl like that when I'm moving across screens and stuff. Nowadays, I don't care. I don't have the time anyway. It's just like, hey, I want to call my friend. I don't care what.
Right.
It's like, hey.
Because back then, right, before, like, you basically, your home screen looks the same across everyone else's iPhone home screen. Like, no one had, like, you didn't have widgets back then. So it was just, like, a bunch of apps, and all the apps looked the same. Whereas with Android back then, you can, put, like, a calendar in your home screen. And like these are recent features in iPhone, which I feel like they're getting better every year.
And that's one more thing. One more thing I used to complain about Apple, but I like recently also fanboy. But so recently I've started liking it so much more. In the sense that Apple either does things. Apple is either the first to market or like it's significantly later to the market. The first to market in the sense they're the first company to remove the aux port. And then every other company made fun of Apple, and then the next year every company did the same thing. But later to the market, like the
USB-C, they were very late to the market with USB-C.
USB-C, yeah, 5 years later, 10 years later, I don't know.
A lot, yeah.
The 120 hertz refresh rate on the displays, they're like a few years late compared to any other device. Widgets, right, released recently. Customization, like now I guess people can have different lock screens unlike before, but again, that's a recent thing. Significantly later than competitors, but I do think that when they do something, they do a really good job. Like it's okay, you never miss it, and then when you get it, it feels like
the quality control is really high. Since they control both the software and hardware, they have the ability to make sure the quality is really high.
The vertical integration is 100%.
That's the key, right? That's the thing that they have.
And one more thing, if you ever run into any issues, you can always take it to a service center. You don't even need to worry about it, right? For us tech people,
well, yeah, but like it costs a lot of money, so
yeah, I mean
you can't. I mean, repairability is very less than an iPhone.
No, I don't mean if you break it. I mean like things that we understand, right? Like
you mean like
let's say I don't know how to use a certain app. I could just go to the store and ask them, hey, how do I use this app? And there's people who'll help me.
I guess there's not like Google, like Android phone, like stores anywhere that you can just like go and ask for tech support for.
Yeah, I feel like for people, like for me, when I use an Android, it doesn't feel too complicated because I understand all the tech stuff. I know where to go, what to click, what means what, right? Because I think like an engineer. But for people who are not in tech, I feel sometimes, especially my uncles and stuff, they find it so much more complicated. They're like, why do I need to go press those 3 dots? What does that mean?
Right.
And that way they find Apple so much easier to learn and use. And I think that's something my uncle told me once, and I really think about it. I think it's super cool that.
Well, I wonder what our audience uses more. Do they use Android phones or iPhones?
I want to be biased and say all of our audience use iPhones, but we support the Android people as well.
There's more people in the world who use Android phones than iPhones. So comment down below what you guys use, and also leave a message about like why you guys use it. Feel free to email us about future podcast episode ideas.
2brownaccents@gmail.com.
See you guys in the next one.
See you guys. Bye-bye.